Good morning. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies for today's Monday's Musings. In the UK, we are going into the spring equinox, and obviously across the world, regardless where we are in that time of balance. That moment where the night is the same as the day, when the light is the same as the dark. You know, when we have our masculine and our feminine together, united as one energy. And it feels really poignant for me personally today that be the underlying emphasis of the time to come. And when I look back, it's always been relevant to me that our shadow is embraced for the light that it can bring, that our light is embodied in the physical actions that we take, that our reflective desires are actually applied, not just from a physical perspective, but also a spiritual perspective, that we become, I guess, the equilibrium, the balance, the bridge, the chakana from heaven to earth. And I can really feel that. I can really feel that almost slotting into place, like a pendulum coming back full swing to the centre point. Now, tomorrow we have a new moon in Aries, and we have an awful lot going on with the planets, which I'm not going to go into too much because astrology isn't something that I have studied. It isn't something that I have a great academic awareness of, which feels quite relevant this week. Because we may not have certificates in certain areas does not mean they're not our forte. So this week with the new moon, certain aspects may come up that we've kind of considered doing, especially when it comes to creativity. So that could be painting, writing, astrology, you know, things that have called us, but we haven't felt capable or worthy of doing them because we haven't gone down the normal route of achieving that. And what I'm really sensing this week is to really look at what we perceive as the normal expected route. So this weekend I had the most incredible honour of holding space for the first module of the Moon Ikea, and it's something that I've actually put off for the last nearly decade because I felt unworthy. You know, these are Peruvian rites that have been passed down from medicine people for lineages, for eras, for centuries, and little old me, you know, I didn't feel as if I'd walked a great enough path to be able to understand them at the level of which they deserved. And the truth is, in reality, of course, I haven't experienced enough to understand the Moon Ikea every single existence, at every single plane of experience, but I have walked enough to understand them at my level. And this week, there are going to be people out there and situations out there that we are drawn to share our wisdom at the level that we have walked it. Because not only do we learn from what it is we teach, we also can recognise then who we are and our place here. That feels like the key with this new moon in Aries, not so much about it being new changes, but actually being able to look back and think, oh wow, I put these changes in place so long ago. The new beginning almost comes from our perspective of ourselves this week. And there is, obviously, we're Aries, we're fire, there is a need for balance there in regards to the ego, either it downplaying who you are or exacerbating it, and really looking at how authentic we are in that. So I don't mean to get rid of the ego. What I mean is to really look at what it's bringing to light. We're at the time of equinox, so we're at the time of balance. So what is our shadow bringing to light? What are we being asked to see here? Do we need to stand more in who we are? You know, do we need to embody that truth, or are we perhaps over exaggerating things, making them complicated because we don't quite trust in them or in ourselves? So there's a few things I want to share, just one quick, and then I'm literally going to get into the energies this week, and I'm going to use the Radiant Rider-Waite. My finger over a QR code that I picked up yesterday at a craft fair. I didn't want to forget the individual, and they didn't have a card, so they had a QR code, and it sits on my tarot tin here. So yes, feel free to QR that. It's absolutely incredible soul that I actually went to school with, who I can see the relevance now. In lockdown, their words to me yesterday was, it's not my normal job, but in lockdown they had started creating something, and they were there at a craft fair selling it with passion, and it made sense to me. Having known this person in school, it made sense. What they were doing just tallied beautifully with who they were, and it made sense, pun intended, that it was, candles and carpet fresheners and everything, and it just worked. It just worked. And that feels really like key this week. Things that you may have created, or, we can talk about actual physical creations such as jewellery, candles, painting, artwork, things like that. What you expressed in lockdown, or even wishes, desires, plans, things that you want to bring into fruition for the time to come. Everything that was created in lockdown feels as if it's coming full circle now. It feels as if it's coming up to the forefront to be a full-time job, to be recognised as part of who we are, and it just feels like a full circle, a beautiful full circle. So we do have the new moon tomorrow, but it doesn't feel as if it's something we haven't already been doing. More than our perspective of it may need to change in who we are and what it is that's now being asked of us as a result. Believing in ourselves, taking those hobbies and taking them further. Okay, which I can really relate to. The other thing, I'm going to use these cards because I'm going to keep them simple. I'm going to keep the energy simple. For me, that's definitely what I want to bring in now. I can really relate to the energy that wants to be let go of, the path that has been walked with great gratitude, the trauma, the stories, the learning, the intensity of it all. And as I feel into the new moon, despite it being Aries, it almost feels like we need to see the energy of Aries differently, that we need to see the energy of fire differently, rather than it being that short, sharp spark of creativity, long term. Longevity of what it is we are trying to create, ourselves included in the world that we're trying to bring into being. You will find this week that many of the aspects that you are being asked to continue with are part of a much bigger picture. And the more you believe in yourself and your ability to bridge where we are and where we want to be, the easier that's going to be by keeping it simple. Keep it simple. Go with what you feel. Allow your feelings to transmute those doubts and those insecurities. We are balanced, yes. Acknowledge the shadow, gain the gifts from it, and continue to keep moving forward. Okay, so reflect on our actions. Know that that is an action in itself, and continue to keep moving forward. So I went outside today, took my dog for a walk, and it's really gloomy. It's really gloomy out there, to the untrained eye at least. It's very miserable looking, and that felt quite relevant with the world within which we live in at the moment. But, deciding, and that is key, deciding to look further at the underlying messages around me. I'd walked past and there was a stick on the floor in the shape of Isa, the standstill rune. And it was actually upside down. So even though the environment outside may not match spring, or what we believe is spring, sunshine and blossoming and things like that, it may feel as if we're in a standstill, that we're being asked to slow down, but actually it's a different form of movement. And we did discover this in lockdown, guys. We did discover a different way of creating and a different way of moving. And it's that we're being asked to actually put into practice. What did we learn back then, The other thing, we may not see spring outside with it being rainy, or the world outside with it being a bit chaotic or hectic or whatever. We may not see it as a change or a cycle or a season, a new season that has come in. But actually it's balance. Spring is all about balance. Now that doesn't mean it's all sunshine. Sorry, the equinox is all about balance. That doesn't mean it's all sunshine just because we want to see the spring. That doesn't mean it's all winter just because we're going into that space in time. What it means is the earth is going to get, Pachamama is going to get what she needs to restore balance. Now last year in the UK it was so hot that I'm not surprised. I'm relieved actually to see that it's still very damp outside, to restore the impact of that heat from last year. So this week in particular with the Aries, don't be surprised if You know, it's more of an emotional time. We have Mars going from Gemini into Cancer by the end of the month, and not being surprised that it may be more emotional. It may be more psychically driven. It may be more intuitive, or one would hope this week, in regards to what new beginnings actually are. Yeah, they are an opportunity to restore balance. What needs balance in your life? That's the key. Okay, so really, really looking into that. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention, and it's as my eyes are drawn to a painting that I did for the Emperor, and it's just all flames everywhere, just flames and bits floating everywhere. The last thing I want to mention, this morning I'd left my boots and my coat in the back of my van, and my husband took the van to work, and I'd left them in there because I wanted to go to the cemetery. Now, I wanted to go to the cemetery to visit my mother, to celebrate my connection to my mother, and as a result left the very shoes that I needed to walk my path, and left the very coat that would shelter me in the back of the van. So today I've had to walk out in new boots and a new coat, which feels incredibly important this week, looking at the energies that now cloak us and protect us. You know, when we think of our coat, we think of our robes, yes, the role that we're taking on. Now, the coat that I wore today, despite having lots of coats upstairs, some of them my mother's, some of them very heavy sheepskin, not real sheepskin, but you know, very heavy, thick woolen coats. Despite all of those up there, I decided to wear a lightweight jacket, and it's a very young looking jacket and a very trendy and hip. Totally not me. So I wore that, and the boots that I wore, instead of them being my muckers, they were hunters. Okay, so it felt very poignant that I'd almost moved from an energy of being very warm, hidden in a hooded cloak like the hermit, to a very light, hip, trendy, more fashionable way of going after what I want with the hunters, releasing the muckers, releasing the crap from behind, and moving forward into what I want. And what I'm getting at here, guys, is this was as a result of a connection to my mother. Let the earth this week, in whatever way she needs to, speak to you. Let those messages come through. For me, it's very much language outside, you know, with the stick and the Issa rune. And there's like this common symbolism for me with the earth. But even that, I'm being guided to open up and see what else is there. So my initial reaction, yes, it's miserable out there, it's gloomy out there, we need balance, but actually go deeper. You know, I'm finding the sticks on the floor on my jacket and my boots. Go deeper into the conversations you are basically trying to have with yourself, because everything that's being reflected back is something we need to hear. Okay, so really, really looking at that, not from the perspective of what do I need to fix here. When things are reflected back, I don't know about anyone else, a lot of the things I do or used to do, that feels quite poignant, is to look at parts of myself that may need healing, shifting, fixing, whatever. Now it's very much awareness. Awareness is key, seeing it reflected back, what's being said to me here, what do I need to understand about myself? Not to fix, not to change necessarily, but to restore balance, restore balance, you know, and just be okay with what you're being shown about yourself. Keep it simple. Find your original symbolism, your original language. I always see the tarot as keys of the psyche into the unconsciousness. So what's going to help you connect to that wider perspective this week as we go into the energy of Aries? Okay. So with that in mind, there isn't anything else for me to share. Oh, 3 of wands of my journey so far today. So how beautiful. Yes. Knowing that, knowing when the time is done, knowing when you have shared all you need to share about that one particular thing. Because when we feel that shift, and you will feel ready. You may feel anxious, you may feel a bit nervous about it, but you will feel ready. And it's such a fine hairline that this week it's really important to acknowledge the new beginnings that are there by feeling into them. Okay, being very aware. They are even more subtle this week. So yeah, really taking time to listen to them. Okay, got the King of Wands in the middle of the pack, and the Six of Swords and Temperance, and it is to do with the masculine. I had a dream last night that I was running a birthday party, and at the end of it, it was for my son, he was small, but at the end of it there I was running a competition, and all the men basically had to run a race. Now, I know very much that's to do with the immature energy of my own masculine here. And ironically, all you would win was what you'd already put into the kitty anyway. So like just taking time. How can we outrun ourselves? Yeah, and we can't. So just being with every aspect that comes up, because we cannot run away from who we are this week in particular. Magician at the bottom of the pack here. We are the bridge. We are the Jacana. We are from heaven to earth, as above, so below. Okay, and taking that up to the next level, guys. I can really feel a lot of growing pains this week in my body, in particular in my bones, in my joints. And yes, it's the cold weather, yes it's this, yes it's that, but it also, the key is, what does your body speak to you? What does it say to you? And mine is reminding me of being a teenager. Mine is reminding me of, you know, those aches that you would get with growing pains when you were a child. I know I'm maturing. Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the pack. I know I'm maturing, and I know I need that balance. I know that it's time now for that balance, and to really look at what that looks like for me. So again, going back to the original message, what will restore you this week? What will bring you balance this week? I'm going to attempt, and I'm going to say attempt because there's no pressure there. I'm not going to make something what it isn't, which feels like key this week. There's no point trying to hide what you're going through. There's no point trying to positively think about something without putting the actions in. And to be realistic this week, I am going to, the Emperor is coming into my mind, yes, with the painting. If we push before we're ready, if we try and make something more than what it is, if we unrealistically plan what we're trying to achieve this week, we do run the risk of getting out of balance, of burning ourselves out, of destruction, putting that fire out before it's even begun. So this week I am going to attempt my very best to get back to swimming, because that's just going to help bring in that water element for me. It's just going to help stretch my body and help move with the changes. So this week, play with your options of trying to restore that balance. You know, get a pen and paper, do some drawing, or go for a walk, or see what really works for you. Exercise comes in many ways, creativity comes in many ways, healing comes in many ways, okay? And you know, if something hasn't been working, then maybe just maybe it's time to try something different. Six of Swords. Okay, Six of Swords at the bottom of the pack here. So I want to just bring some attention to the whole Six of Cords thing. Sometimes we put things in place, relationship situations, whatever, to restore balance. Six is about balance and harmony, and we can move on from that. I think a load of logs and coal just fallen out from my fire in the front room. We can move on from that when we are ready, and the most simplest way to do that is to calm ourselves in the situation. Okay, so if something once triggered us and it comes back and it no longer does, we have moved on. Give ourselves permission to do that. It doesn't mean we have to remove ourselves from the situation. We can just be there and witness and observe and be present. Okay, especially this week. I can see some steps leading up under a waterfall in the picture above me, and that gives me quite a bit of an achy back, actually, almost like I want to turn and stretch and look at different directions. Maybe worth this week, before trying to rush ahead and get to the top of where we're trying to get to look at different directions and include them all. We're in the space of the Chariot. I'm trying to force the cards in there. Ace of Wands. We're in the space of the Chariot here, so it may not feel like a new beginning. It may move us in a different direction to what we had planned, but it's all going to slot into place. Okay, it's all part of a far bigger picture that we hold in our hands. Okay, divinely inspired this week. It's exciting. Not what I expected at all, which is fantastic. Okay, so with that, we're good to go. We have the Emperor at the bottom of the pack. Now, I'm not going to reshuffle. I'm going to let that archetype guide us, and that feels quite important. Letting the archetype of the energies that are occurring around us actually guide us, stepping into that, embodying that. So with Aries, you are talking the beginning of the fire signs, a fire suit, so the 2 and 3 of Wands, that taking a moment to pause and then stepping forward. But I also like the fact that we have the Emperor at the bottom for Aries energy. So really stepping into what we are trying to achieve as the very guide that's going to help us move forward towards that. So I'm going to put him to one side. Underneath we have the 9 of Cups. I'm going to put them both to one side. Excuse me. Because we do have an underlying issue here of the 10 of Swords. It is still there. It is still under the pack. But what needs to guide us away from that now is our ability to make ourselves happy. Yeah? Not to be too smug with it, because we can all be knocked down a peg or two, but our ability to make ourselves happy is what is going to move us forward from the 10 of Swords this week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall, and so for the overall, I wanted to keep just pulling cards. It was like a real sense of not trusting almost, or at least wanting more insight, wanting more wisdom, wanting more certainty this week. And overall, we have the 2 of Cups and the Page of Wands. And it's wanting that more, to be more certain of who we are in the connection of our relationships, our place here, our jobs, all of it, to be more certain of who we are. But we're at the 2 of Cups. We're at that sacred union, okay? And we're at the Page of Wands. We're at that beginning, that inspiration. So to be more certain in who we are, we must let go of the need of certainty. Now that sounds like it just really doesn't go, but I want to be more certain, so I need to surrender to uncertainty. Yes, because remember, the more we can surrender to what is occurring, the more we can experience what is occurring without being triggered with the ego and our trauma and our wounds, then the sooner we shift that. Okay, so the more we can be at peace with uncertainty, the quicker we will connect actually to a more divine inspiration this week. And yes, it is the Page, it is the beginning, but it's also innocence and youth. Okay, it is also, the dream last night was to celebrate my son's birthday. The anxiety came with the game at the end, with the masculines having to run the race. The actual party for the youth, for the lighter, younger energy, was beautiful. A bit like my jacket today, okay? Letting fun and play help you hunt out what it is you want. In everything, in our connection to Source, in our relationships, in it all, in that sacred union now. It's that's going to help us move forward from the 10 of Swords. Now what I see is the more shadow aspect of the Emperor, the more smug version of almost having all my ducks in a row, almost look at me, I'm a grown-up masculine, I've done everything I came here to do, and actually, where's the fun, where's the joy in that? I almost want to take the robes and the defensiveness off of the Emperor and say, come on, let's just go and have a laugh. Okay, so this week in particular, seeing things from a different perspective when it comes to what it is you're trying to achieve and what happiness actually is to you. Because on the Monday we have the Hanged Man, and this is from now until Easter. It's obviously we are at the Equinox, okay, Ostara, right? Perfect timing in the UK. The Christ consciousness here, and it is very much about lightening things up. You cannot change the energy of something with the same energy. So if things are heavy, by being heavy, you're going to add more heaviness to it, right? So if we really want to move away from things, it is about seeing it from a different perspective, seeing ourselves from a different perspective. Yesterday I was at my nephew's, how are we, 24 minutes? I was at my nephew's and it was his first birthday. miracle child, absolute miracle child, many babies before him. And he's there, and he's a Pisces, right? So he's the hanged man. And I was just playing with him, like speaking to him with my head up the right way and then turning upside down, right way, upside down. And he found it so hilarious just by seeing things from a different angle. It made him happy. If you take anything from this video this week, allowing yourself to see things from a different angle, where you are, where you're going, any uncertainty, anything that you may want to heal, anything you may want to bring in, seeing it from a different angle this week is going to make so much difference. It's going to bring that necessary joy in that's going to help shift things, because we are underneath it all the 10 of Swords, and the 10 is the end. It is the end. And it's needed. Oh my goodness, it's needed. You know, we talk about Aries and the new moon and equinox and everything else. Balance is needed first before we bring in anything new, because from there we can actually see what is already occurring and stop repeating, stop asking for the same thing, and trusting that it's already in the process, that we're already walking towards it and away from anything that isn't. Because on the Tuesday we have the 8 of Cups here, and that is basically what I've just said. We're walking towards it. With every emotional release, it may not feel like it, but we are walking towards wherever we're headed, everything behind us. If we can stack that up and see it for the beauty that it is, yeah, we're walking towards it. On the Wednesday, we might not like what we're walking towards. It might not quite be what we thought it was going to be. You know, we may very much get a feeling of, what next? You know, I thought it was going to be fireworks and song and dance and just life altering, and it was back then. It was. But if we are trying to be happy with the things that once brought us joy and ignoring the fact that we now require more because we've grown, then we're going to have this feeling of complacency. And to watch out for that Wednesday, to watch out for where we're manifesting from, what it is we're seeking, and just how well we're looking. Are we still looking over what we thought we wanted? Or are we willing to actually open our eyes and see what is being gifted to us? Are we ready to make it not just about the individual, but the collective? We do have Pluto going into Aquarius, and over the next 3 months, 3 cups, we are going to be given an insight into the next couple of decades on a humanitarian level, what is needed from us from the earth. It's not about the individual anymore, and it is time to get over ourselves. It is time to, okay, we're nervous about doing X, Y, and Z, but it's needed, yes, and to really get out there and get on with it. The more we do that, the more enjoyment we're going to feel in ourselves and the gift that we're here to share. And as we step up, so too will our environment. And on the Thursday, we see that in the Ace of Pentacles. Now, what am I sensing right now? Disbelief, discord, disillusion. And I'm really feeling that needs to almost, interesting, become a seed and let that feed what it is. Now my brain is saying the complete opposite. So come Thursday, we're going to have a lot of conflict with what it is we're actually asking for and where we're asking for it from. Okay, it's okay to use our path. With manifestation, we get a lot of, it has to be a certain vibration, it has to be really high, we have to be positive thinking, we have to see it occurring, and yes, to an extent, but you cannot lie to the body. You cannot lie to the body, and the body will not believe something it isn't ready to believe, not believe something it hasn't experienced on a certain level, even if that's our imagination or on a cellular level, you know, when we bring it in and we hope and we wish. That's one step of it. What actions are we putting into place? Where are our emotions here? Where are our desires? Are they all in alignment? How ready are we as the very seed? So if we're feeling disillusioned, what is that telling us? We're in a space of balance, looking at our shadow. If we're feeling discord, what is that trying to explain to us? Because if we try and continue to manifest from that place, that's what we're going to get reflected. So really listening to what we're feeling when it comes to the seeds that we're planting this week. If we don't feel that they're going to happen, chances are they're not. So what can we do about that? not covering it over, not making a power of belief, but actually really looking at why we might not feel that. What's the initial message there? What do we need to gain from that? What can we learn from that? What do we need to let go of? Okay, because then on the Friday we have the Death card. It really feels like a week of cutting the bullshit. All right, really feels like a week of bringing in that balance and saying, actually, this is done. No matter how much my brain may say, but I can do it. And no matter how much my finances may be like, I need to be ready first. Or no matter how much my inner child, the child on there may say, well, I feel nervous. I feel okay. I acknowledge all of those things in myself. But actually, it's time to move forward. And how do we do that? What flag are we flying here? This is the white rose. This is the flower that almost reminds me of the one that the Fool picked, or Persephone picks. Okay, this is the shadow, the underworld, the pure light that can come from embracing those parts we may not have wanted to see up until this moment. This is the knowing of uncertainty as part of a massive aspect of creativity and being comfortable with that. It's black and white. It's one. It's united. Okay, so, and there's those bones, right? There's those bones in that skeleton that I can really feel are trying to move forward. Our support system, our connection. So, our very movement. Outside, there's a van outside my house at the moment, and they're fixing the internet. And on the side of the van, it's got open reach. And it really feels as if we're going through an upgrade. And to do that, the old must die. The old version of us must die. Now, to die, that means to bring home back everything that we have pushed away, everything we have discovered, everything we have become into the whole. That balance, okay? That's going to take some courage, because on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's what we have. We have the Strength card here. The courage is to listen to ourselves. The courage is to pause and embrace our own divinity, even in the parts we may not like. The courage is unconditional, positive regard. The courage is authenticity. Yeah, the courage is to be who we came here to be, to no longer silence our emotions, but to really, really honour them and respect them. I've just watched a training video. It came up on my Facebook, and it was, I think her name was Karen Laws. I like the fact that her surname was Laws. You know, that's what we're facing with the equinox. We're facing a universal balance, a universal law, and we're facing that in our life as well. We can want something. We can do all the steps that it takes, but there's a divine law of patience. Okay, and I know we're going into a new moon in Aries, and I know there's so much going on in the planets, and I know we're at equinox. There needs to be patience to ensure that you have the courage to open up to what it is that's being asked of you. And it is coming from a very nurturing, divine space. It is coming from a soul energy here. Karen Laws, she's a dog trainer. Not too keen on the word trainer, but that's my issue, right? So this week, any words that trigger you, okay, that's your issue. Okay, so look at it. Now, the reason I'm not keen on the word trainer is because I do believe, very much like Karen herself does actually, that animals are unique souls, incredible souls, and that there's a respect there. Yeah, so for me, the word training is an authoritarian view, which is the silencing here of the emotional, and that's all my own journey. But underneath it all, Karen and I have a common belief that animals, our animal instinct, emotions are unpredictable and deserve to be respected and heard and listened to. Now, in this video in particular, there was a lot there about being aware of our response to the energies and preparing ourselves, acting accordingly with sacredness. This week, that's key. When we have these emotions, be it from other people or from ourselves, or what we may feel in the sky or what's going on out in the world, being aware of how we react is going to be key. Having the courage to look at that. So this morning, a side part, seeing how gloomy and miserable it was outside, I loved it. I loved it. I love that we still have a little bit of winter. I love that we still have that reflective time. I love that I can light my fire and still take time for myself, because the truth of the matter is, when we step into summer, very rarely do I have great balance. You know, it's that fire energy, it's must get done. So I could see the fact that I was reacting to the environment in a positive way was because it was beneficial for me. Okay, and looking at why I may be reluctant to embrace the heat, the light that is trying to come in this week, and having patience with that. So really looking at your own messages this week. Now, to do that on the Sunday and throughout the week, it's going to take some rest, it's going to take some balance, it's going to take some solid foundations in your own mental awareness and clarity. It's going to take really looking at your own symbolism. This is where I want to come back to the Ace of Pentacles, which is the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Something on the Thursday is going to need much reflection on, and it's going to need a solid foundation in what it is you believe, what it is you think, what it is you perceive is possible from this. Okay, it's going to take almost walking your own medicine wheel. So where is my head at? Where are my emotions at? What needs healing and shifting from here? What physical steps do I need to take? If you want that new beginning, it's about remembering that the new moon actually encompasses the whole moon. The new moon is the crone, if you will, of the energy. It is that pause in between the in and out breath. It is the creation on a far greater level than just the individual life. It is the stage in between stages. It is the void of uncertainty. If you want that new beginning, it has to be new, which means it's something you don't know yet. Yes, if it's new, it is unknown, which means it's uncertainty. So you want the new beginning, let go of the expectations. It's that that's going to restore the balance this week. Okay. Trust the divine within you and around you, and find your own synchronistic way of communicating with Source this week, because it's going to guide you. Fall back in love with the magic of it all. Okay. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3 major arcanas this week, other than the Emperor, who very much I would call in that energy. Very much. And it's not even just calling in that energy, it's about healing the Emperor within us all. It's about healing the sacred masculine within us all, and it's deeper than that as well. It's healing the spirit, healing the soul, healing it's quite vast this week, actually, the potential there. But the major arcanas that we have are the Hanged Man, Death and Strength. Yeah, it's about our enlightenment here. It's about letting go, having the courage to let go of what spirituality, of what healing, of what life, creativity, all of it actually means to us. Yeah, moving forward from what we've been told that it means, from what we believe that it means, and bringing in something new now. Really embracing the healing that is needed around death and letting go. Really embracing the healing that is needed around patience and what it means to be strong. Really embracing the healing of what it means behind sacrifice and the ability to see things from different perspectives, and enlightenment itself. Really embracing a new way, and it feels like there's been a real, and I can relate to this, a real hard journey when it comes to enlightenment. Ascension, a real difficult journey when it comes to all of that from the mental perspective, the Ten of Swords, and it's really affected our soul, it's really affected our spirit, it's really affected our actions, our masculine, and it is very much about bringing the joy back to that now, really bringing the joy back to that. And we have 3 major arcanas. We have 4 with the Emperor, and it feels important that the foundations, the structure this week comes from the Emperor energy. So really to embody that, to look out for him, to look out for the Emperor in your life this week as you start to see it being reflected in yourself. Okay, the father figure. Yeah, very much here. But we have 3 major arcanas, which is creativity. It is birth. It is a new beginning. It may not feel like it, but it's about changing our perspectives, letting go of what we thought we saw, letting go of what we thought we wanted, and really being open now to listening to our emotions and our animal instinct to guide the way. Okay, we then have 1, 2, Three Cup cards, again, that beautiful creative energy here. And it's the Eight of Cups, the Four of Cups, and the Two of Cups. If we are to move forward, it is about looking at the areas that we are complacent with or bored with, and deciding to see it from a more sacred perspective, a sacred union here. Okay, really walking away from that which no longer serves us, with the respect that it is that that's helped us seek something better, something different, something that's going to help us grow here. It is the trials and tribulations of life that help us realize our own divinity and our own strength and our own connection. But once we realize that, we don't, unless we want to, have to keep repeating those lessons to prove a point. Okay, we can receive, you know, the cup, it receives. We can receive the joy, we can receive the medicine, we can receive the love and the healing this week as well. Maybe that's the new beginning. It's like mic drop. Maybe that's the new beginning so many of us are in such desperate need of. Because we have one pentacle card, and it is the Ace of Pentacles. I just have to stretch my leg. And it is about our physical stretches here. It is about how far we are willing to open ourselves up to what it is we want here, how much we are ready to receive the nutrients in our good diet, the actions in our routine, the love that we have been searching for, the abundance that we are surrounded by. How open are we to take that in our hands and say thank you, thank you, thank you, without believing that we have to go through something first. We then have two sword cards, the Ten of Swords and the Four of Swords, and that brings me on beautifully to that actually, because we do have that end here. We have that end of how things once were mentally. Underneath we have the Hermit. Yeah, finding that light within now that's going to guide us forward. Not the journey, but the vision. So in the Hermit, it's the star, Wheel of Fortune straight underneath. In the Hermit, it's the star in the lamp. I don't know if you can see that up close. Just... yeah, it's the star card that guides the Hermit forward. It's the vision, not the endurance, not the journey, but the vision that guides. Oh, I put the Ten of Swords down. Beautiful. Let's just put the Ten of Swords away now. It's the vision that guides us forward. Okay, not the actual lessons and the endurance there. And taking time with that, taking time to just rest now and be with that and allow that to be that one sword that you carry, putting down the Three of Swords. Yeah, hanging them on the wall by all means like a trophy. This is what I survived. Look at me, incredible. This heart splitting open, you know, journey that has been X, Y, and Z. This is what I survived, but it's out there. It's not who I am. What I survive isn't who I am. Okay, who I am is the vision that has always been part of every step that I take. Because then we have one wand card, and that's the step. That's the new beginning in the Page of Wands, really looking at what it is we take forward now. Yeah, really taking that youthful, new, uncertain, beautiful presence forward. From now, I would say until definitely the beginning of July, which, especially in July, actually, keeping the flame alive is going to be our purpose. Okay, now that's going to resonate with people at different levels, and I would say if it is about a particular flame, go with that, but that's what we are carrying. That's what we've always been carrying, that flame, that light. Now that can be your internal light, that can be a flame that you have been gifted through lifetimes, that can be a belief, a core value, whatever that is to you, figuring it out this week. Opening up to see it from a different angle, having the courage to realize what you're being asked to carry forward now, and taking that with a light heart in order to restore the balance needed. Okay, so we're going to have one more card because we're at 43 minutes. We're going to have an equinox wish. Okay. So, how can we restore balance collectively? What is being asked of us? How do we, that's what's being asked of us, how we restore balance. Gosh, that makes all the cards go everywhere. Six of Wands and the Ace of Swords. Okay, what is being asked of us to restore balance? Okay, is to go after what we wish. To have the courage. the Nine of Swords here, to stop overthinking it, to stop looking outside of ourselves for it to land in our lap, and getting completely complacent with what we have in front of us and bored and, you know, just avoiding. That's what I see, avoiding what is in front of us, avoiding the very gift of who we are, avoiding the very answer behind everything that's kept us awake at night, the strength and courage. And we have the Death card underneath and the Two of Cups here and the Star, and I could just go on, you know, the Ace of Wands and the Sun here. So okay, the strength and courage to be who you are is what is going to bring the balance back. Tower, that is the changing moment. It's time to stop running. It's time to turn around and face who you are and know that that is the answer to everything that you have been asking for. And from that moment, be comfortable with the uncertainty of what it is you are about to embrace into your life with every step that you take. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful equinox wherever you are as you regain who you are. I could put some really fancy words in there actually, but it isn't. As you regain whatever it is you now need to restore that balance in your life. Take care, keep it simple. Yeah, keep it simple. Okay, no extra, she says, adding more words is needed. Take care, have the most incredible week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.